Hey everybody, this is AriveAlive, and here's going to be my Amazon Bowazon build, how I beat Hellbell on single player with basic, pretty much budget gear, and some good methods, some tips, and I hope it really helps you in the end. So, here's my gear. I've got the Gold Strike Arch Hydra Bow. I've upped it, and this was so important to the build. I've played this build before, and that was years ago when I didn't know that you can up gear, and I tried to get through hell without upping this bow, and it was not possible. And now that I upped it, put a shale in there, it made all the difference in the world. You have to have an elite level bow to get through hell. You don't have to, but if you want to not grow old playing this game, then up your bow. Just sit there, farm, countess, whatever you have to do to get that pool rune, you up the bow. Okay? I'm just telling you that now. For my gloves, I use some 20 increased attack speed gloves. I found these somewhere. I love the light radius and the fire resistance. They're amazing. Some extra attack ratings in there, but it's all about the increased attack speed. With this and this, you have 90 increased attack speed, and I believe that's above the 86% breakpoint. So that's what I was going for. It's really good. Great attack speed. I've also got my Raven Frost. Any Raven Frost is gonna do. And I've got this ring. This ring has great lightning resist, lifesteal per hit, attack rating, 5 to light radius, all great stats. I've also switched out to this ring right here for some extra fire resistance and some MF. It also has some attack rating, some life leech whenever I was in Act 4. That kind of helps with some extra, plus with some other stuff too, with all the fire damage in Act 4. I also have some Gore Rider boots. These are pretty easy to get. They're not ridiculous. You don't have to kill Hellbale to get these. So I got them off Eldritch and Hell, I believe. Um, and I threw them on my Bowazon. They're amazing. So grab these. I got the All Resist necklace. This is just great to making sure that your resistances are positive in Hell mode. You definitely need positive resistances, or you're gonna get one shot all the time and it's gonna drive you crazy. Then I use Dusk Deep for the all resistances, and the damage reduction is nice, but I'm not sure if damage reduced by 7 is noticeable, but it's there. So you can also use like Tall Rosh's helm, some other stuff, and so those are all good helmets. I mean, helmets, this is not what's going to make the build. What's going to make it is the bow and the armor. The armor is, if you don't have good armor, and gloves too, gloves really help here. For Bowazons, usually what you'll hear is a good bow, OP gloves, some great gloves, some 20 IAS plus 2 all skills, yada yada, bunch of resist and stuff, and then the armor, right? Fortitude, Chains of Honor. But if you're playing a single player build and you can't afford those crazy runes, then make a Lionheart. You can also make a Treachery, great increased attack speed. You also have chance to have Fade proc that increases your resistances, but I just went for Lionheart. I actually wanted to see if this was going to work, and it worked great. I got the Great Hauberk in the hole in Act 1, so it's something that you can use whatever you were using up until Hell mode and start farming up the hole. The hole is a great place to get, I think it's like a level 80 area, to get some good gear that you can use to make runewords with. That or the pit. But the pit, I mean, honestly, the hole kept showing up with monsters that could drop the Great Hauberk. This is a fast, or a light armor, excuse me, the Great Hauberk. So it's the highest rated light armor, I believe, other than Archon Plate. And this Archon Plate, I think you can only find like in higher areas. So when I was in Act 1, I was like, okay, let me just find a Great Hauberk, and it worked out great. Yeah, no pun intended. So um, that's my gear. I also used like I was saying, some other rings and necklaces for other just different situations. Like this All Resist 14 was what I used for a long time before I found the All Resist 25. But for bosses and super uniques that give you trouble, maybe like the ancients, what I recommend is using slows target gear. Slows target by 20% is Blackhorn's face, and then you also have Clay gloves, which I found really early, that give slows target by 25%, and it has knockback. This is great 2-for-1 on your gloves if you're a Bowazon. Knockback, slows target. I used this for the longest time, and it was, I mean, you're not going to find um, some increased attack speed with slows target with knockback. I don't even think they make gloves with all three of those mods on there, but this is a great alternative if you don't have some increased attack speed gloves to get, and you don't, if you're lacking on damage, knockback's going to help you tremendously. And slowest target helps with bosses. So I just always put both of these on to kill every act boss. Um, that helps keep your Merc alive, that helps keeps your Valkyrie alive and all that. So speaking of that, let's get to the skills. I want to go over the skills since I'm a Strafe Son. What I ended up using was Strafe. I did not go for the Freezing Arrow or ML8, Exploding, whatever. I did not do the skills that required lots of mana. I really wanted this to be cheap on mana. I hate having mana potions in here constantly. Um, just to be able to, shoot 5 times and then have to use a mana potion, then shoot 5 times. I mean, that drives me crazy when I'm playing. So what I did is I went for a build that is a lot easier early game to get you up to the end game. And even if you want to switch later on, you can. Um, so that helps just tremendously. So I'm going to show you my skills on how I leveled through the game. The first skill I got and started maxing was Magic Arrow. This skill is amazing, absolutely amazing. If you look at my attack rating with Magic Arrow, it's 17,000. I don't have the Angelic 2-set bonus, and I've got 17,000 attack rating. This is amazing. You hit way more often than just a regular shot, and I think after so many levels, it becomes mana uh, cost 0. So it is amazing. That's the first thing I did. Just stacked this completely. The next thing I did was, let's see, look at this, 6,000 attack rating to 11,000 attack rating, just from switching or using Magic Arrow. It's amazing. After that, what I did was nothing in Javelin, obviously. After that, I started putting some 1 points in. You have two options: to max Magic Arrow completely at the beginning, or to, as you level, put 1 point in all of these. It's great. The next thing I maxed was, I got 1 point in everything. The next skill depends on if you're going to be offensive or defensive. If you're going to be offensive, then stack Penetrate. This is going to make your Magic Arrow's attack rating max out pretty much and stay that way. And that's your goal. You want to have max attack rating. If you're not hitting, you're doing 0 damage, and that destroys your average DPS. So you can either do that for offense or do defensive and just stack Valkyrie. Valkyrie's not needed until Hell mode unless your mercenary sucks. Um, I don't know what to tell you about that. Uh, but there you go. Those are my two options. And another option, I guess the third option would just be a hybrid, just alternate. So depending on what you do or what you want, there you go. That's the next two skills to max. And then after that, there's, depending on where you are, you're going to be at whatever, level 70, 60 something. You'll probably be at the end of Nightmare around this point. Then, yeah, before 70 for sure. Um, especially with all the plus skills you're going to have. You can either start putting points into Strafe and come down here, start getting points into this, or you can start getting a lot of these up. What I do is I put Critical Strike at 50%, 51, and then I also get Pierce above 50%. So 5 there, 8 there, and by the way, I have plus $1 skills, so just take that into account. And then I get to 30% on all of these, 31, and I like that because it's just 3, 2, 3. It's not a lot. 30% is, the next one you're going to start actually feeling the diminished returns. But once you get to 30%, I feel like 10% per point and then 15% here is great. It's great use of your skills. So after that, then you can just finish putting your points into strafe, and then that's what you can finish the build with. So this is how I actually leveled my skills, and Magic Arrow was a huge um, skill throughout the entire game. Honestly, I used it all the way up to Hellbale. There's a lot of times when if you get all your mana goes away. It's something to use. It's like double swing for Frenzy Barb. It's something easy. Um, it's an alternative that gets you through most of the game. So that's huge. Here are my stats. I put enough strength to use the Hydra Bow, 134. I put minimum 20 or base 50. Yeah, okay, so I put, 30 points in Vitality plus whatever my gear gives me, which is 38 points from, I have no idea what else gives me. Okay, yeah, 20 to Vitality. Look at this, Lionheart. That's great. I literally have so little points in Vitality. This was the weirdest thing for me to get used to. A lot of times, especially if you're playing on Battle.net, all the builds say, yeah, get enough strength, enough dexterity, and max vitality. But with the Bowazon, your goal is to get enough strength for gear, enough vitality to not die every 10 seconds, and max dexterity. And that's exactly what I did. You max dexterity. Dexterity gives damage, AR, all that stuff, and it's absolutely amazing if you max dexterity. I played where I did the opposite, where I maxed vitality, and it's so much slower. So having 650 or whatever, I literally stopped putting vitality at 50. Everything else was my gear. So, if you wanted to do 50, 70, 100 vitality just to play safe, obviously this was not a hardcore. I would definitely lean more towards vitality if I was playing hardcore. Um, but yeah, this is definitely how you get through the game, dexterity. And obviously nothing in, see, minimum 15, base 15. I put nothing in energy. This is just from probably Lionheart. So, you can definitely see how Lionheart affects your stat. Look at that. 25 strength, 15 dexterity. That's 25 more points I can put in dexterity. That's huge. 20 to vitality. That's going to keep me alive a lot longer. So, I showed you my gear. Um, hopefully that really helped. I would show some gameplay, but there's plenty of videos on that, on all the places, every act you can see what I did, what gear I had, all that. So I really hope this helps, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you.